A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight we'll be talking about big ideas that can enhance India's global image through the Brand India campaign, while also taking a closer look at the business of cinema. First up, Rohan Richard will be in conversation with Harish Bijoor, brand strategy specialist and founder of Harish Bijoor Consults Inc. And in the second segment, I'll be speaking to Devang Sampat, CEO Cinepolis India.
In 2023, Brand India has taken the world by storm, leaving an indelible mark on the global stage. With its dynamic economy, rich cultural heritage and innovation-driven mindset, India truly has become a visionary force to be reckoned with. Today, I'm in conversation with brand guru Harish Bijoor, and I gather from him his perspective on the immense possibilities that New India offers. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bijoor. It's a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Rohan. My pleasure.
Mr. Bijoor, as a brand guru, how do you envision the Brand India campaign to strengthen the country's global image, and what key strategies do you suggest for its successful implementation?
Okay, Rohan, my definition of a brand is a simple one. A brand is a thought that lives in a person's mind. So to that extent, a brand is a simplicity. Brands live in people's minds. The ownership of a brand is not with the maker of the brand. The ownership of a brand lies in people who consume it. And therefore, when I look at India and when I look at Brand India, I typically say that India is a thought that lives in people's minds. India is a thought that lives in Indians' minds. India is a thought that lives in non-Indians' minds. Both thoughts are equally important. Both thoughts are powerful. From a very export-centric mindset, the India brand overseas is more important than the India brand within the country. But from a very India consumption, India involvement point of view, what Indians think of Brand India is very, very important. Therefore, let's focus on both. Today, if I look at it, Brand India is a robust, thriving thought. A thought which is all about a country which is begging to be in the top 3 economies of the world sooner than later.
In India's economic growth context, what specific contributions do you foresee from its MSME and SME sector? And what measures should be taken to further empower and support their role in the country's development?
You know, right in the beginning, India is a society. And within this society live different kinds of people. There live people who are the rich, who are the middle class, and there are people who are the poor. And within this society live 3 parts of the economy. We have the large pieces of the economy, which is all about the big behemoths and industrial bodies. Then we have medium-sized organizations. And finally, we have at the bottom of the pyramid of Indian business, the SME and the MSME. So if I typically build a pyramid of this kind, right at the top, at the nano niche, a very small portion at the top of the niche are the big industries. In the middle are the medium-sized industries. But a very large portion of the bottom of the pyramid is the MSME. The SME and MSME sector is all about 62 million individuals running organizations. And therefore, the most thriving part of the economy, if India is to make good meaning, good success, and good positivity, it needs to happen at the bottom of the pyramid of Business India. And the bottom of the pyramid of Business India is the MSME sector, 62 million enterprises. I think we need to rev this up. I think we need to get this part of the economy going, because this is the vital third engine, if I'm to call it that. First engine is that small one, big business. Second engine is the medium-sized one, medium-sized industries. And the third big engine is the MSME sector. The third big engine needs to kick in.
The G20 Presidency offers an excellent platform for India to showcase its potential on the global stage. According to you, What are the main areas where India can make a significant impact, and how will this leadership position benefit the country's growth trajectory?
You know, the G20 leadership and Prime Minister Modi's leadership at the helm of it is very, very useful for Brand India. In fact, if I look at Prime Minister Modi ji, I would say he is India's best and biggest brand ambassador. Because if you look at G20, it attracts the global attention from n numbers of countries, those that belong to it and those that don't belong to it. And it is a constellation of countries. And amidst this constellation of countries, India has the leadership today. Great thing to happen because all eyes are once again focused on India. But the key point is only those eyes aren't important. The investments that follow with those eyes are equally important. So I think extremely important for us to monetize G20 leadership to the good of small business in India.
Given the increasing importance of ESG for businesses worldwide, how can India encourage and promote environmentally responsible practices among industries while ensuring continued economic growth?
See, ESG goals have become fashionable only of late. And I think, you know, if you look at the ESG goals, the world is embracing it with gusto. For India, ESG goals are a natural because if you look back into our rural practices, if you look back at everything that we do in rural India, you will be very, very surprised to say that we have always been linked to ESG goals. We've been conscious of the fact that we need to do good to the earth. Our ethos in small town India and in rural India is very, very ESG linked. So to that extent, I think we just need to correct the ethos of urban India because urban India has become a pollutant. Urban India has become greedy. Urban India and big businesses have become acutely greedy. Extract and offer to the market has been an ethos. This cannot be an ethos anymore. You cannot be as extractive in your mindset as we have been in the past. So I think as far as India is concerned, ESG, it's in our DNA. It's in our deep rural DNA. It's in our rural DNA. It still exists in our urban DNA. It doesn't exist in our urban DNA. So ESG, I think the cleanup must happen in urban India. Once that happens, I think we'll be on the right track. And I hope and pray that rural India, deep rural, never make the mistakes that we have made in urban India.
Considering the rise of e-commerce and globalization, how can Indian brands, both large and small, effectively compete on the global stage, and what strategies should they employ to gain a competitive edge?
See, it's very, very important for every small business to have an e-avatar. You must have a physical avatar where you sell and you market everything physically. In addition, you must have an e-avatar where you're selling and marketing in an e-format. Again, very simply speaking, question is, what is your market? Defining a market defines your goals. Defining a market is a definitive point of your ambition. How ambitious are you? So if you say my market is Hole Narsipura in Karnataka, my ambition is Hole Narsipura in Karnataka. But if I say my market is Karnataka, then my ambition is Karnataka. And if I say the world is my market, so be it. So e-commerce gives you the ability to think big, act big, and do big stuff, which will get back into the quality of your product. And you'll be able to make a big impact on Brand India and every offering that Brand India has for the world at large.
As India aims to establish itself as a global economic powerhouse, how crucial is innovation and entrepreneurship in driving the country's growth? And what measures should be taken to cultivate a thriving ecosystem both for entrepreneurs and innovators?
You know, innovation and entrepreneurship is very, very, very important in any country like India. Because we're a large nation, we're about 1.41 billion people. We are likely to be the largest nation in the world already. And if you're talking of a large nation of this kind, everybody cannot get jobs. Entrepreneurship means creating your own jobs for yourself and creating jobs for maybe 20 others. The Indian MSME sector is actually about all this. So I'm really saying that if we need to go any place, we need to develop entrepreneurship. We need to develop the way we skill India with entrepreneurship. And innovation is something which we have to bring into the mindset of every Indian in a big way. We're essentially a very innovative set of people. We have the terminology jugaad, which is very, very Indian. But jugaad is also about being a little nifty and negative. So I'm really talking positive jugaad. Is there something that we can bring in where we are training ourselves to be innovative, to solve the problems of the earth?
Thank you, Mr. Bijoor, for what was an insightful conversation.
Thank you, Rohan. My pleasure being with you guys.
Over to you, Ritwika.
Thank you, Rohan. Now, before slipping into a short commercial break, here's quickly telling you all about Brand Surge, a new initiative by Times Network. This is a unique opportunity for startups to be on TV without a TVC that can help you reach up to 25 crore viewers of Times Network through packages starting only at 1 lakh rupees. This is the first ever opportunity of its kind from any TV network to accelerate the startup ecosystem. And we at Times Network firmly believe in empowering startups with the tools and resources they need to succeed. For more information, log on to brandsurge.co.in. On that note, we'll take a quick break here. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. In conversation now about the business of cinema, how the movie viewing experience is being reimagined in India and much more with Devang Sampat, CEO Cinepolis India. Thank you, Devang, for joining us today.
Thank you, Ritwika. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Devang, Cinepolis is the only exhibitor in the country with an international backing. Tell us what's been the core business strategy for a diverse market like India?
Well, for Cinepolis, I guess the strategy has been quite clear from last 51 years of building only cinema, and that has been the core. And the core strategy has been to focus on cinema exhibition, and that's what we've been doing for last 51 years and over 19 countries. Talking about India specific, there is no different. I guess the focus is on two things. One, we want to remain focused on our customers. We believe that our job is to make sure that the experience of our customer is nothing but the best. What we cannot control is the content. We do work with the production houses on, how the product needs to be shaped up, how that needs to be marketed. But eventually, product is built by them. So as an exhibitor, our focus is clear that let's look at what customer needs when they come out and consume their movies and when they come out and experience their movies. So irrespective of whether it is India, whether it is metro city in India, whether it is USA, we believe in building nothing but the best sound, projection, chairs, washrooms, so auditorium experience, F&B experience is something which is nothing but the best. So people don't come for only movie or movies, but they come for an experience. And that's where our focus has been. And that's what we have been doing it across. And the byproduct of that, when you give the best experience, is you generate profit with which we continue to expand. So the focus is clear that give the best experience, generate the platform for us to expand, and with that, create an atmosphere to spread happiness. So that's been the strategy so far, irrespective whether it is India or globally.
Devang, I also understand that the brand is going through a revamp. Take us through the journey of Cinepolis from Mexico to India, perhaps highlighting some of the key milestones and how Cinepolis is reimagining the movie experience for its patrons in India.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So, I mean, there are two ways to look at it. I mean, over last 51 years, we've seen a lot of disruption, in the exhibition space. And as the world speaks, let me speak about pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Especially in country like India, which is movie crazy, and we know that movie going is something that is then there in our DNA. We want to go out with friends, with family, and we just want to enjoy the movie. So for us, the strategy for India was quite clear that we want to expand, and we continue to do so even post-pandemic. Especially last year, where in 22, when we say that it was a sign of recovery, we took world by surprise when, after third round of COVID, or, the third wave of COVID, when we saw Indian cinema started to reopen, it not only reopened, but it opened with a bang. Movie like KGF to RRR, Gangubai, they took world by a big surprise because the world was taking time to recover. Audiences were taking time to come back to cinema hall. But during that time, after reopening, we delivered the best ever quarter in the history of Cinepolis in last 10 years. So we entered India first opened our cinema in Amritsar. From there, the journey started, and now we are there in 40 cities. But in that, during those course of action, we also did acquisition for, Fun Cinema, which was Z-owned brand. Same way, we, did an acquisition from DLF, partial acquisition at Saket and, GK2. Also, we've acquired Spice Noida. So we wanted to expand. Unfortunately, pre-pandemic, there was no enough supply of malls where we can go and expand ourselves. Cut to post-pandemic, now we are being cautious on where do we expand. I mean, that pandemic was like probably the worst phase that we already saw, but we came back strongly. As I was mentioning, April, May, June was the best ever quarter. From there, we are seeing now things are changing. We are still monitoring the behavior. Having said that, in 2022 calendar year, we welcomed almost 3 crore audiences, 30 million audiences back to the cinemas, which I believe is a great sign. And it's also showing that India is recovering much faster than any other countries that we have seen abroad.
So recently, the GST Council decided to lower the service tax on food and beverages consumed in cinema halls to 5% from 18%. What's your response to this? Is this a welcome change?
I would say it's a welcome clarification, because we were charging after the GST order came. We were anyway charging 5% only on F&B, and it continued to remain like this. There was some clarification which few states required. So it's good that the clarification came, but the business is now as usual, and there's no material change, or rather there is no change at all for the business that we were doing, apart from a clarity of thought that we got from the GST Council.
So in a competitive market, what would you say sets Cinepolis India apart from other cinema chains in terms of offerings and customer satisfaction? And how do you view competition from rivals like PVR, Inox and Carnival Cinemas?
Well, any competition is always a healthy competition. That's what we believe in. What we are good at and what our strength is doing the same thing again and again. So we strongly believe in consistency, and our single point focus is to make sure that whenever a customer walks into Cinepolis, experiences nothing but the best, and keep doing the same thing again and again. Of course, there are a lot of offerings which, if I continue to name, will not be enough. I mean, whether it is design, whether it is in-audio experience, whether it is washroom, whether it is F&B offering in terms of Coffee Tree, our signature brand. But all of them put together leads to a best customer experience, and that's what I guess industry-wide and then India also has accepted us as, and that's how we are known for. And consistency is what we want to maintain for the time of operation that we are in, and that's what will lead us to future growth.
With the rise of streaming platforms, how does Cinepolis India stay relevant and attract audiences to cinemas?
I thought that debate was already put to the rest. I don't think we compete at all. We and I, at Cinepolis, and I have a personal opinion also, we strongly believe that this OTT platform has given recognition to directors, to the writers, to a small budget film which were not able to, get a bigger platform. I mean, to be honest, KGF 2 wouldn't have been KGF 2 without people consuming KGF 1, which was there in the cinema for a very short period. A movie from a Kannada market, which, the rest of the countries were not even aware about, became the biggest movie for the year. So that's something that we believe is thanks to OTT. Both the platforms will continue to coexist. I think the quality of production house has only been improving because now with the same product, they are exploring different means of revenue to make a better content.
So there's quite an interesting lineup of movies in the latter half of the year, What's your perspective on how the box office performance will shape up in the coming months?
I think the next 6 months probably will see the biggest box office collection ever India has seen. We are already witnessing with Mission Impossible, the second half of the year started really well. Not only Mission Impossible with Christopher Nolan now Oppenheimer, then Barbie, then Barbie moved the animation content which India is still taking time to develop. But then we saw with Spider-Man, that the content, the people have already started understanding the animation is not for kids but for the family. They are coming back, and as we know for Bollywood, every 2 weeks we have one potential blockbuster film. So why I'm saying potential is it's a big budget film. Those are big budget films, and those are the movies which we believe have the potential to cross the biggest box office. Whether you talk about starting in August with Gadar 2 or Rocky Rani in July itself, then followed by Oh My God. We already have seen Shah Rukh Khan creating his waves through Pathan, and now Jawan is knocking at the excitement door for people to come and watch movies again.
Devang, the theme for our show this season is Ideas for New India. What is that one idea, according to you, that has the potential to change the theatre business and bring it to a new level?
Well, like I mentioned that, historically, Indian entrepreneurs were only looking at how do we generate profit. The way we want to look at the new thought is let's focus on the experience, let's focus on the customer, give them what they need, profits will come, and eventually, everyone is in the business to build money. Everybody is in the country to expand. We want India to grow. At the same time, India can only grow with all the businesses coming together for a growth. But that growth will only come not by focusing on just your profitability, but to focus on giving what customer needs.
It was great chatting with you, Devang. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ritwika.
On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Good night.